Hey everybody, it's Angela Molson352 back with another process video. And I'm going through all of my chalkboard type of product, and I keep it all in a bag, even though there's like various collections. I've got the Teresa Collins stuff. I've got this Chalk Studio, which I think is my Mind's Eye. I've got some hot off the press Brads and their chalkboard collection along with the matching ribbons. There was some Studio Calico that went by. These stickers, I have no idea who they're from. This is the hot off the press collection that I really like the papers, but they're hot off the press. Their papers tend to be really thin, so I usually have to back them on something else. And then I also have the Dazzle stickers that go with that, kind of the chalkboard sayings. I don't wind up using any of those. And then more of the Teresa Collins, I think it's called Nostalgia. I'm not positive on that, but I'm just looking through here just to see what I've got to work with. And I'm going with a chalkboard theme on this one because I am going to scrapbook some layout, some photos of the ultrasound pictures from my daughter-in-law's little boy that she's expecting here next week. And I want to get them scrapped before the influx of newborn photos come in. And she did her baby invite with a chalkboard theme, so I decided to go with chalkboard on this. My main focal point is going to be this Saw Crafters chipboard clock, and so I'm just looking at that. I have that extra round solid circle just out of my stash. It was the interior of some other chipboard piece, so I thought maybe I could use that, and I've got the two clocks, so I'm not exactly sure, just that I want to use the clock and the chalkboard stuff. It's about all the pre-planning I've done. So now I'm just cutting out the ultrasound pics, and I'm just kind of I'm going to arrange them around the circle in the date order. And first I'm thinking about, clustering them in a band, and then I kind of like this, just kind of going from high noon and then going around. So I have this one frame, and that's kind of cool, and I thought, well, maybe I could put a frame for all of them. So I think about putting that one in this kind of oval frame would fit if I just cut it and pasted it on top, since it's really not an actual frame. And then I know there's a paper in there somewhere too that has cutout frames on it. So I go down this path quite a while before I give up on it. I'm going to use, oh, there's the frame paper. So, but the inside interiors of the frames just weren't very big, and I'd have to cut off too much of the ultrasound picture, and so in the end I don't go with it. But like I said, I kind of travel down this road for a while, and I'm going to use that kind of blank chalkboard with the white border as my base paper. And then, like I said, I will mat this on another piece of paper. I kind of just trim that little black edge all the way around, and then mat the paper again, because this is just a little bit too thin for my liking. And I'm looking through these kind of Project Life and these stickers, and just kind of seeing what catches my eye, what sentiments I like. And so I'm looking here about rearranging the frames to get them to fit. But I'm not too sure about it. And so then I just set them aside. So the top and bottom of these are a little bit too distracting. So I'm just going to crop off the extra color bands on there that don't have any wording or meaning to the photo. And now I'm going to take my clock and punch out all the extra little interior bits. And they pop out pretty easily. I just kind of take my dental pick thing there and just work them out. And I really like how delicate the numbers are and everything inside there, and how lacy the whole thing looks once you get all the pieces popped out. And there's another little clock that is nested inside when you receive it. I didn't use that one, so I put that back in my stash for a different layout. And my title for this is going to be Waiting for You. So I'm going to go with this clock theme. And so what I'm going to do is emboss the clock with some black embossing powder. So I grab my Versamark ink and move my stuff out of the way so it doesn't get damaged. And I'm just going to kind of put this Versamark on there, which is just kind of a sticky substance that the embossing powder will stick to. And then I cover it with my black embossing powder. And then just use a heat tool to set the embossing powder. And I really love how it turns out. It's got a little bit of gloss to it, a little tiny bit of shimmer, and a nice deep black color. And I like that, you know, it's not too thick because it's chipboard, and yet it's sturdier than if I were to use just a paper die cut. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do to that. I'm just going to put my embossing powder away here. And then I like how the clock is just a little bit more of a black than the chalkboard so that it still stands out. And I want to put some of the photos under, and then I want to make sure there are some things that go on top of the clock as well. And since I want to put stuff under, I will wind up backing the clock. But first I want to mat my photos. Since I'm not going to use those frames I cut out earlier, I want to just draw a little more attention to them and have a little bit of a division between the black of the ultrasound and then the black of the paper. So I'm going to use this green teal, I guess it's more of a teal color, and you know, which works good for a little boy layout. And we can't wait for him to get here. We don't know exactly when they are going to induce, but they might induce labor a little sooner than expected. So the grandbaby might be here as soon as this week. So I'm going to double mat 2 of them just to bring in a few more colors. And now I'm going to bring back the clock and kind of arrange the photos, make sure they're right side up and in chronological order. And then I want a journaling spot or something that I can write on, or that his mama can write on. So at first I'm thinking about this one so that I can label the dates of the photos and stuff, but I wind up changing that out after a while. So I just flip through this sticker book and see if there's anything in here I can use. And a lot of the chalk products from different lines, they are all subtly different in color. Like that, those hearts you can see are really light, but you know, chalkboards, depending on how much they've been erased, vary in color or how clean they are. So I'm not too bothered with the fact that they're all a little bit subtly different color black. And then these punch outs, some of these are, the paper ones I think are all from the Teresa Collins from this sheet here. And then I have some chipboard pieces from that collection as well. And I'm thinking about the mustache, and then I decide not to. I don't know. I don't think I've ever put a mustache on a layout. I'm just not into the mustaches. But I'm sure maybe once he gets a little bit bigger and stuff, I might use a few mustaches, just, you know, in a whimsical sort of way. So now I decide that I want to back the clock on this teal as well. And then that way I can tuck some of the photos underneath it and there won't be any distractions. So I just kind of stick it on there, and then I go around and trim around the edge. And then that way I can just put those underneath the corner and they don't show through. So I switched it out for that journaling card because I liked the kind of teal on it. And now I'm just gluing down the clock, so I'm going to commit to that. But I only kind of glue it in the center, so I still have some space to tuck things underneath. Now I'm just going to start placing some of my photos. So I have the first one, you know, where you can't really even tell it's a baby, and then 3 more different times where you can start to really see his little hands and face. And then this one I'm going to put up on a little bit of foam tape so that I can overlap it over the top of the clock. And then I have a few chipboard pieces. That little flower one is from, I think it's a Studio G chipboard pieces that were in the Joann's kind of dollar bin area. And so I kind of tuck that one underneath the corner of the item that's up on foam tape there. And then I put another one as a chevron piece. And then I have that family from the Teresa Collins chipboard. I'm just looking for little things that I can tuck around. There's the more from that Joann's chipboard there. And I actually put these down, and then later I'm not caring as much for the pink and red on those, on that banner piece and that flower, so I do kind of wind up covering them up a little bit, but I leave the elements there. So I go ahead and put this little banner that says life, and then I glue on the little flower and the banner. I'm just kind of looking through for see if there's more pieces I want to include in there. Put this other chipboard piece at the bottom of my journaling spot. So I'm really liking this. I thought about putting enamel dots, but then I thought, no, I've got these brads, so I'm going to use them kind of in the same way I would enamel dots, by just sprinkling them around. So I pull out ones that have either sentiments or colors that I like. I toy around with the idea of having that hand in the center, but I decide against that because I think I'm going to put my title in the center of the clock. So now I'm just kind of seeing where I want to sprinkle those around. And then I just poke a hole in there and put my brad through. And like I say, I just kind of think of them just like enamel dots, just that they have legs to hold them on instead of adhesive. So I just put one over there for just a little pop of that teal color. And then that one has a little ampersand on it. And now it's really starting to come together. I like the little bits of silver that are around the edges of the brads. And now I'm going to trim off just that little black portion around the edge so I can map my photo or map my layout on a more sturdy paper. And my camera will cut off, my battery dies, and so I think the only thing you don't see is that I do my title on the inside of the clock, and I think that's about it. Oh, and I cover up those red bits a little bit, and I add a few more little silver kind of like stud enamel dots. But right now I want to get this onto another kind of teal piece of paper from the same Teresa Collins line. And that makes it a lot more stable. And so now I'm thinking about covering up that red because it's just too bright. And it doesn't look that bad here on camera, but in person it was just a little bit too glaring. So I try putting a brad through it first, but then because it's chipboard and then the brad is dimensional as well, it just stands up too tall. And so I do take that off and wind up putting a thinner just enamel dot that has a butterfly on it. But I think my camera cuts off about now. And there you can see I put the butterfly over that flower. And then I put this joy over the top of that banner to just tone down some of that red color, although there is some pinkish reds in some of the ultrasound pictures. So, and then I put Waiting for You in the center, and I added a few more little silver enamel dots, and that is my finished layout. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or anything, just leave me a comment below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.